Mini episode 1010 of the FDH Lounge is brought to you by Sportsology, delivering unconventional columns and webcasts about sports, TV, music, movies, and more. Follow them on the web at sportsology.com.
The FDH Lounge. You'll want to schedule your life around it.
A long time ago, on a gloomy, wet Cleveland spring night, two men stand alone amidst the late-night drizzle. Their voices echo across the vacant station parking lot as they debate the merits of the great American radio show that have been missing for far too long. On that night, an idea was born. That idea became the FDH Lounge. Welcome to the FDH Lounge.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to FDH Lounge mini episode number 1010. This is FDH Managing Partner Rick Morris here today, and we are doing a very interesting segment. This is one that was pitched to us by another one of our FDH Lounge original dignitaries, our Director of Research at FDH, Nathan Noy, who these days is hanging out in the fine state of Colorado doing some sports writing, and there's a gentleman that he came across out there that has had a tremendous career in baseball, and he is looking to expand it further. He is a tremendous inspirational story as far as work ethic and looking to overcome circumstances, but let's not forget also, too, let's not let it get lost in that, the amount of raw improvement that this gentleman has shown on the baseball diamond. A true diamond in the rough. I know that's a cliche, but you can't look at this man's career and what he's done and everything without coming to that conclusion. He plays in the Pecos League. He has for the last couple of years, and over the last 2 years, these numbers, over 122 games. It's not a full season league, so over 122 games. It's a little bit of the Wild West in terms of numbers, but I think I have the updated numbers here. 345 batting average in those 122 games, 22 home runs, 122 RBIs, 122 runs, 27 stolen bases, 28 doubles. So somebody who really is, when you start talking about a five-tool threat, this guy looks like he has it all. He's a tremendous story. So happy to have him on the program today. Tim Henry Jr., who played for Trinidad the last couple of years in the Pecos League. Tim, welcome to the FDH Lounge, the show where nothing is off topic. It is great to have you on and be talking about your story today.
Thanks, Rick. It's great to be here.
I'm really happy to have you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. Shout out to Nathan Norris for setting this up for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And Nate is a very observant guy, and he always has a hook for the great stories, and this really is one. He was telling me all about you. I got a clip of his article that he did on you, a sterling profile from the Chronicle News out in Trinidad, Colorado, over the last week or so, and just everything I've gotten to learn about you since. If anybody goes to YouTube, if you key in the search term "how baseball saved my life," up pops that video immediately there, and that says a lot about, obviously, your work ethic, your intensity, the way that you approach the game. So let's start from that point of view, from the core of how you have felt about baseball. We'll verge a little bit into the skills part of it a little bit later, but on that part of it there, that seemed to me, as I was watching it, to say an awful lot about the foundation of what you bring to the game.
Yeah, I mean, I've always have been in love with the game of baseball since I was very young. I wasn't as outspoken. I've always been a bit more of an introvert growing up, especially in high school and in college, but especially going to a small Division III school in upstate New York, Ithaca College. I wasn't as outspoken as I wanted to be with, maybe the people closest to me or people close to me, probably more so with my family I was closer with about or sharing about pursuing a career in baseball and playing professionally. And it really wasn't until about my sophomore year when we had a relief pitcher, Tucker Healy, get drafted by the Oakland Athletics, I think in the later 20 rounds or so. Before I started to realize that we may actually, as a college organization, have an opportunity to get some serious looks from MLB organizations. Because I felt as if Tucker Healy had kind of put it back on the map and given us some legit baseball credibility. And then the following year, 2013 was actually the first year that I became a starter at Ithaca. And surprising to me, honestly, because you could kind of go into a D3 program kind of expecting to start within the first 1 or 2 years that you arrived, but that wasn't the case because there was some serious talent at Ithaca when I got there. And one of the most talented individuals that I've ever had the opportunity to play with and truly blessed to be able to play with was Tim LeCastro, who's now playing AAA for the Dodgers. He made his big league debut earlier in the fall, or late last fall, for the Dodgers for Dave Roberts. So for a guy like Tim LeCastro and Tucker Healy, a couple D3 guys, to get noticed and get drafted the couple years that I was there was a true blessing and definitely motivated me even more to not even just motivate me more, but made me believe more in myself that I could make this happen, because I had the desire and the passion to want to go through this. But now people around were starting to believe, and there was kind of a buzz around campus with the Ithaca baseball team. So that was great. But that's kind of where it all started within that 2012-2013 year. That really kind of ignited that passion, that pursuit to sign an MLB contract after graduation in 2014. So 2013 was a great year. We had gone to the Division III College World Series and finished third in the national tournament, which is unfortunate, so we were a game away from playing in the national championship, which was a goal. We finished the season 41-8. Tim LeCastro was at shortstop, out at second base, and then we had our catcher from that year, our third baseman from that year, our center fielder from that year, and then I believe two more starting pitchers from that year that went on to go play professionally. So 2014 comes around, and I believe those 5 or 6 guys that I mentioned besides Tim LeCastro went on to go play their first year of pro ball in the Payless League with the Alpine Cowboys in 2014. So I knew the opportunity was there. It's like everything was just kind of falling into place. It felt like if I did not get drafted, then I almost felt like, well, my plan was to at least kind of be able to fall back and join the rest of these guys to go play independent ball in the Payless League for the Cowboys at the end of my 2014 season. But my goal was to get drafted. Tim LeCastro was the first Division III player overall in the 2013 draft to get drafted. I mean, he got drafted pretty high, too, in the 13th round. So 2014 season rolls around, and I crossed paths with Ryan Stevens, who at the time in 2014, and I think a few years prior to that, was the Alpine Cowboys head coach in the Pecos League. And I believe he won a championship in 2013 with them. But he's a local Ithaca boy, or from the upstate New York area, I believe, Dryden, New York. And he was, I believe, a graduate assistant coach for our team in 2014. So I met him in the fall of 2014 during fall ball. Pretty much told him my goal for the year and what I was hoping to do with baseball after college and how I wanted to play professionally. And he told me, he evaluated me and told me that there was a couple things that I needed to do to get better. I needed to have a few less errors. I needed to hit the ball like Tim LeCastro did. So he got to see me play all of fall, and I had tremendous fall. He got to see me work out all of winter, and he got to see me make these adjustments that needed to be made. And before he left for the coach, I believe the end of April, beginning of May, he got to see me play, I think, half my season. But what he really got to see was me kind of flourish in a setting where there's kind of no excuses, and you can kind of tell if the guys on the field can play or not. I mean, we were out in Southern California every spring. If it caused, we take a week and a half long trip out to California during our spring break to play the Division III California teams. And playing in the Northeast my entire life is difficult. You don't have the best of fields, you don't have the best umpires, and the weather conditions obviously are very difficult in the Northeast with the cold weather. So I went out to California and I put on an absolute show. I did enough just within those week-long games that we played, and then those couple games that he got to see me play in New York. It was enough for him, I think, it was enough for him to pull the trigger on me and offer me a roster spot for the Alpine Cowboys. But that wasn't until after my senior year ended. So I did not get drafted because I got off to a super-duper hot start in the first half of my senior year. I think I was hitting over, within the low fives. I was hitting over 500, and I know that as a Division III athlete, if I'm going to even get recognized, even if I had the Toronto Blue Jays who drafted Tim LeCastro in 2013 and the Open Athletics, and Ithaca College worked on, a little bit more of these teams or these MLB teams' radars, that I was going to have to put up some serious numbers. And I was like, I'm going to do 450 at least, 500 was my goal. And I got off to a hot start. and I did everything I had to in the first half. But the second half, I got a little bit complacent, fell back into some old habits. I don't want to say school kind of got in the way. It was just some off the field extracurricular activities that kind of kept me focused and kept me on the path that I wanted to go down so that I could get drafted. Thankfully enough, Ryan Stevens saw what I was capable of and saw what I did in the first half of my season, the winter and the fall, and offered me a contract to come down after I graduated. So I went down, and the Alpine in 2014, I think I played and appeared in maybe 50 games, only had about 80 at-bats, and it took realistically it took 3 years playing with Alpine for me to be able to adjust to the pro level, the pro pitching, and with that, I struggled mightily at the plate, but I was still able to compete as a starter and get a lot of playing time and still get plate appearances because of what I was capable of in the field. It's always been my strong suit, and it was an adjustment that I made going into my senior year after making 16 errors. My junior year, I ended up only making one true error, second base, my senior year. So defense is something I take a lot of pride in. I can play any infield position, but it definitely started right around my sophomore, junior year at IFCA, when I really wanted to pursue, or I really wanted people to know that I was pursuing a career of playing professional baseball. And then I think it was around after my 2016 year, that 2016 season, that I was really unsure about what I was going to do next. I wasn't sure if baseball was my calling, if it was my purpose, if I was going to be playing baseball, if I was going to be playing baseball anymore. And then, out there, and just thinking, I believe when I just got home from the 2016 season, we were entering the fall of the off season to get ready for the 2017 season. That I ran into some new guys that had come into the baseball and softball facility that I've been working at for about a year and a half, 2 years, close to, and a couple pro guys. Jared Kolajasic was the hitting coach. He had transferred over from another building to give hitting lessons, and he brought in a couple of his players that were around my age. And one was Joey Rose, who is 20 years old. He was a third rounder, I believe, in the Arizona Diamondbacks organization, playing high A ball with them now. He's a local kid from the Jersey Shore area here. And then Carmen Sclafani, who at the time I believe was a sophomore at Rutgers, and he had a breakout year just this year as a junior with them at Rutgers University, another kid from the Jersey Shore area, short conference area that we played in. So both guys a couple years younger, and then another lefty hitter outfielder by the name of Andrew Lemire. He played a year, another kid from the short conference area that played a year at East Carolina University, and then transferred to a small Division II school up here in upstate New Jersey called Felician College, or Felician University. But actually, the last couple, or another one of my buddies I grew up playing with actually went to play there. He played his 4 years of college there and just made his big league debut with the Colorado Rockies as a left-handed pitcher. So I met all these guys just almost by the stroke of luck. It felt like the stroke of luck. And, just the owner of our building said, you got to get in the cage and start swinging with these guys and see how these guys work. And once I got in the cage and started working with them, it kind of reignited that passion. That I've been swinging with that, but I've been swinging, but I haven't really been hitting yet. And I could just tell that these guys were doing different moves than I was, and they just had a whole different swagger and confidence about how they approached hitting. And I wanted to get involved, and I just told myself I had to give this a shot. I was like, I'll give this another year. I'll see if changing my launch angle and using my body in a little bit of a different way will help me. And I told you earlier when we talked, Rick, that I was seeing the ball early on in my pro career, and everybody sees the ball. And the thing is, a lot of people, what a lot of people don't understand and realize is that the media, the sports media, and that the announcers and the broadcasters, they make a 90-plus mile per hour fastball seem like you have to be superhuman to be able to compete or to hit against, or to be successful against. And I've seen 90-plus, 95-plus hundreds of times. I mean, not as much as at the D3 level. When we went to the World Series, you definitely see a lot better arms. But once I got into the pro level, I saw what 90 to 95 was like. And to tell you that I didn't have all the confidence in the world going into the box after seeing the first pitch, it would be a lie. I mean, I was seeing the ball. I played overseas in Australia, and that's probably I played overseas in Australia in the winter of 2014 after my first year playing with Alpine, and that was the first time I'd really seen double A, triple A type pitching. 90 to 95 plus arms every weekend. And the thing is, I was going up to the box, and every single at bat, I was seeing the ball. The problem was I wasn't hitting the ball. It was like there was a hole in my bat. I remember I went 1 for 7 in the game in Australia in 2014 in the winter. 1 for 7 with 6 Ks. But they were Ks where it was like, I'm swinging hard, I'm putting good swings on the ball, and I'm on time, but something's off. I'm not hitting the ball. So now I see the ball for the last 2 years. I'm seeing the ball the same way, but I'm just not hitting the ball the same way. Because I am hitting the ball now. So to say I don't feel comfortable, or I wouldn't be comfortable getting thrown into maybe a single A or double A affiliated organization would be a lie, because I'm seeing the ball. I've always been able to see the ball, and everybody can see the ball. The problem is a lot of people give up playing baseball because they don't know how to hit the ball. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Coming off my second good year, or great year for me, second great year playing with the Trinidad Triggers. Started just working on elevating the ball, but not even just elevating the ball, just kind of changing the path in which I was trying to get to the ball to increase my chances of making more contact. The power just kind of came by itself, and that's what these guys that I started with were telling me. They were like, not only is your contact rate going to go up, and you're going to be able to start hitting pitches at your knees, and not only are you going to start to be able to hit pitches inside, because those were kind of my cold zones, but you're going to start to see that your power is going to go up, because now you're getting on plane, you're giving your chance. I'm just giving my barrel a better chance to hit the ball more square. So I definitely just got started. I mean, my whole hitting process over the last 2 years has changed. I've just become obsessed with video and kind of just studying these guys in the league right now that are having a lot of success. Guys like me too, right-handed hitters. Guys like I really like watching guys like Mookie Betts and JD Martinez, and those two guys work together too right now. Even Matt Carpenter too. I think anybody that's as obsessed with baseball as I am in hitting, those are probably the 2 or 3 guys I think anybody should watch. But they, JD Martinez was watching some video of him the other day, and he was talking about how a lot of people can see the ball, but they're just not able to hit the ball. And also how a lot of people work based on how they feel. So if they're feeling good in batting practice, or they're feeling good in the cage, that's what they'll kind of work off with and take into the game with them. And that's kind of how I've been the last 2 years. But what I need to get into a little bit more depth with now is just me watching video of what these guys look like, but watching more video of what I look like. So he said, yeah, you might feel good, but do your moves match moves like guys like Miguel Cabrera, who he studies, and guys like Ryan Braun, who he studied before he became, what will probably be the American League MVP this year. I mean, he just hit 100 RBIs and still have 40, 50 games left. They still have 40, 50 games left. So my focus this offseason is definitely refining how I look at the plate and kind of just being more with what I'm doing mechanically than necessarily how I'm feeling at the plate and using the ball as feedback. Because I've always just kind of the ball as feedback to determine whether or not my swing is right, or whether or not my swing is right. But now it's, okay, well, now the ball looks good, but how do I play now? Do I look like Martinez? Do I look like Mookie? Are my moves similar to what these guys are my moves similar to the guys that are doing what I want to do at the plate doing? So it's pretty much where I'm at right now, and how pretty much just in a nutshell where I've come from and where I kind of where I would like to be within the next couple of years, and what I think I can be within the next couple of years within an MLB organization or high up in an affiliate MLB organization.
Well, Tim, that is a heck of a story as far as everything that you've done and been through, and I think, again, what I want to highlight here in what you just said is, in talking about all this, I used the term at the outset about being a diamond in the rough. And I think what you just said there indicates, let us not confuse these terms. A diamond in the rough does not mean Cinderella story, because yes, you've been playing independent baseball. Yes, you're a guy who came from a small college, but you are a guy who has a lot of talent. You've been able to refine it a lot. Again, this launch angle thing, not to be overly simplistic about what you've done, but that's a strong foundation in your improvement. And if you look around baseball, you're talking about guys like J.D. Martinez and Matt Carpenter, who now have more power than they used to have. It's one of the defining precepts as far as getting better in Major League Baseball these days. And you haven't even had the benefit, obviously, at your level of StatCast. So you had to kind of figure out some of the stuff on your own, video study, all of that basically to say that, again, this is no Cinderella story. You are simply a guy who is at this point undiscovered as far as being in a Major League Baseball organization. But what you have been doing, especially over the course of the last 2 years, speaks for itself.
Yeah, and I mean, it kind of, it's on me too. I mean, I'm in the situation that I'm in for a reason. And I think a lot of it has to do with just my preparation and how I prepared early on in my playing career, high school and in college. And if you watch Baseball Saved My Life, that video that I was in, that I made with baseball motivator, he calls himself CJ Beatty, when I was playing in Australia, you'll kind of hear the background story of how my preparation and how I kind of went about my work and what it needed to be for me to get drafted maybe out of high school, or to go play a high D1 level out of high school and then get drafted out of or to get drafted out of college, was because I did have some issues with alcohol, and it started at an early age. But that's not even the story, or what I would like to get people to hear, understand, is, or like, even if they're pursuing a career in baseball, it's not even necessarily that the alcohol was the issue. It was an issue, but the fact of the matter is I wasn't putting in as much work as I needed to as a result of my issues that I had with alcohol. I mean, if I'm Tim Henry and we'll say Bobby Brown, or Tim Henry's working out 5 days a week, Bobby Brown is working out on Saturdays and Sundays. He's working out 7 days a week. So if you just do the math and you try and figure out the number of hours, how many more hours in the cage or in the weight room he put in, just those 2 extra days a week, if you do the math, and 52 weeks in a year. So, I mean, he's getting that much more work in, and he's separating himself from the competition that much more. That's why you have guys like Kyrie Irving or guys like Kobe Bryant. They're so proud of their work ethic and how much more work they put in than everyone. Guys like Floyd Mayweather, they say, when you're sleeping, I'm working. When you're out partying, I'm working. So when I was out partying, everybody else was working. Now, I always had the talent, I always had the desire, I always had the dream, I always had the vision, but my work ethic in high school and my work ethic in college didn't quite match with my passion, if that makes sense. So once I got into pro ball, I learned that real quick, that, I know the game about as much as anybody else on the planet does, but I'm not putting in as much work as these guys. So now it's kind of become like a catch-up and recovery time for me, especially after having those 3 down years in my first 3 years in the Pecos League. Thankfully, I've been able to recover from that in 2017 and 2018, and I believe it's been enough to at least give a higher independent league, or to at least have an higher independent league give me an opportunity, and even an MLB affiliated organization. But again, if I have to go back to the Pecos League and hit for a higher average, have less strikeouts, hit a couple more home runs, and prove myself for a third year, or prove for the third year that I can put up consistent numbers, and then I'll do it. But when I played in Australia, I was just around so many professionals, like true professionals, that I learned so much. It's one thing that, especially now that I'm home and I'm not playing like I want to be, I've been telling myself, and it's something that Grant Balfour, I'm not sure if you're familiar with who he is, but he was a closer for the Oakland A's, the Tampa Bay Rays, a couple other MLB organizations, but he's an Australian native, and I had the opportunity to work with him, or just chat with him one day, at some benefit that the players and coaches all had to attend to. And I asked him, I was like, if you can give me like one bit of advice to kind of help me just stay motivated, or to continue, or like give me one bit of advice to help me get into affiliated ball, what would it be? And he told me it takes persistence and it takes numbers. Persistence and numbers. And that's one thing I've kind of just been telling myself the last couple of days, the last couple of weeks here, is that, Tim, I don't think anybody persisted and persevered quite like you have over the last 5 years, playing in probably the toughest professional baseball league in the world. And now, you've done that, but it's just not enough. And that's what Grant said. He's like, you have to have the numbers back up. Numbers don't lie. And what's great now, and I think now that I've kind of proven myself and I've been able to show some consistency and I have some numbers the last 2 years, is, you mentioned before how I'm kind of a diamond in the rough, or a potential five-tool player. I think that persistence aspect kind of adds to that sixth tool that a lot of coaches look at. And I watched the video the other day of a Pirate Scout talking to some young high school guys at a power showcase I think that they have in Miami about how, can the kid field? Can he throw? Can he run? Can he hit? Can he hit for power? Those are the 5 tools that everyone bases or scouts look for in a player. And then there's the sixth tool, to makeup. It's like, how does he look? What's his swagger like? What's his body language like? How is he in the clubhouse? How is he in the dugout? How is he with his teammates? How is he with his coaches? How does he respond to failure? But then also, they said the sixth tool is athleticism. I can even throw persistence into that sixth tool and say, are you able to persist? Does this kid have perseverance? Is he not going to give up? When things start to go bad, it's going to try and find a way through. I think if there's any scouts out there that end up listening to this, or there's any coaches that know any scouts and MLB organizations, I want them to know that I've got all 6 tools for you guys. I'm not just going to quit, and I'm not just going to go try and find something else to do because I failed or because I've been defeated temporarily. For 3 years I was trying to find a way through, and it wasn't until after my 3rd year of temporary defeat that I find a way through. And now I feel like, okay, we're kind of in that time period now, or at least for me, kind of at that point in my career where I feel like I'm starting to come out of the valley. And something within the next couple months, or by the start of the 2018 season, even by the end of the 2018 season, again, if I have to go back to the Pecos League, I will. But by the end of the 2018 season, I want to be playing in an affiliated organization, and I want to be winning championships. It's just something that I've always had in my heart. I always wanted to win a state championship. I always wanted to win a national championship, and I got this close. But it stinks. And I think I want to keep playing to prove to myself that I can compete when pressure's on, and the spotlight's on you, So I think, I just want people to know that the numbers are there now, and the persistence and the perseverance and the will to win and to not give up is something I don't think a lot of people have these days. Or even if they do, I don't think they have it on the level that I have it, especially what I've been through and what I've been able to overcome, just not on the field, but off the field as well.
Well, that confidence is very admirable, and again, I think, as people can hear from your story, very justified based on what you've been able to do. And that sixth tool that you're talking about there, some of the different elements that go into that. For anybody that got a chance to see the story, I don't know if it's still online from the Chronicle News out in Trinidad, Colorado, but Nate Noy's great profile on you, talking about this here as far as the way that you rub off on your teammates and try to work with them and keep them in a good place and try to provide positive energy to those around. So that's one of these things as well, when you talk about that, as far as some of these skills and personal skills and emotional intelligence. That's a term that you hear about increasingly today, even in sports, as far as the ability to rub off on other people in a positive way. And just to kind of bring this full circle and get any remaining thoughts from you about where you're going from here, it seems like when you add that to the athleticism, to the improvements that you've made over a period of time, that to me is what makes you, again, not an overachiever, but just a full-blown achiever.
Yeah, and I mean, it was a learning process, too. It took me some time, and I had to fail. But I think it's all about your mindset, too. But I read in a book by Bobby Tewksbury. And Chris Colabello wrote a book called Be a Hitter. And those are a couple of the guys that Josh Donaldson hit with. And they say that you should start to get excited about failure, because it means, you hear all the time, you say failure, or the more you fail, or I fail, the more I fail, the closer and closer I get to succeeding. But you should get excited, I think, about failure in a different way, just because you can learn the most from it. And I think it's just kind of just a lot of reading and a lot of studying of just guys like in the league and how they've been able to overcome it's really just kind of helped change my mindset and perspective on the game, and just really just take a load off myself and just understand that it's baseball. I mean, it's more mental than anything. Just being able to handle the spotlight and the umpires, and then not maybe knowing how wide home plate is, and then not just being on the level or baseball IQ level as you, and just being able to try and be patient with them. But even just like from like a hitting perspective, it's crazy to think that in this game, and it just doesn't even match up with anything close to how we were taught in school or the way that society or the real world works. I mean, if you fail 7 out of 10 times in the real world, people are going to start asking questions. They're going to start to worry about you. But if you fail 7 out of 10 times in this game, you're going to the Hall of Fame. You know, the only time that people in baseball really start to worry is when you fail more than 7 out of 10 times. So even if you fall under the Mendoza line, you go 1 out of 10 in your debut with, let's say, the Tampa Bay Rays in low A, that's when they're going to start asking questions and say, Tim, we need to make an adjustment here. But if you go 3 for 10, you're a hero. You know, that's nothing. That's not even close to what the world says or how the world treats failure. So I think once I was able to understand that, okay, well, I went 0 for 4 today. That wasn't my plan at all. My goal was to go 4 for 4 today. That's okay, because tomorrow I can go 4 for 4, and then I'm 4 for 8, I'm hitting 500. And then sometimes you have those days, Mike Trout said it too, where I'm hitting 4 for 4, I go 5 for 5 one game, and then the following night it's like, where did my swing go? But that's just part of the game. It was the pitchers. I mean, it's just so it's just that was just something, how to handle failure, how to deal with failure. I don't think I've ever failed. I never failed quite like I did my first 3 years in my entire baseball career. There just wasn't a lot of failure in high school. There wasn't a lot of failure in college, you know. And then when I got the Pro Bowl, I was like, holy cow, we're really failing right now. But again, I truly believe like people should get excited about failure because you can learn the most from it. So me, just again with the guys that I've been able to play with, I mean, I got to give in the article I said, and like I say it all the time, a lot of the success that I have is not because of what I did, it's because of the people around me that have helped me, you know, that have kind of stuck by my side. And I have confidence. Sure, I have confidence. I truly believe that I should be competing at the AA level right now, at least, like my buddy Tim LeCastro, you know. But it's not because I don't get that confidence because I have my entire town behind me. I probably have about 1% of my town behind me, 1% into college behind me, you know. But that 1% is enough for me, you know, for Tim and even my mom and my dad and my brother and sister, a couple coaches here and there encouraging me. But then, you know, the majority of people are discouraging the idea, you know. So just understanding even a big part of the reason why I continue to go to it is, and you know, God willing, this is part of this is His will, but it's the relationship that I have with God has truly helped me the last probably since 2016. I came to have a relationship with God. Has really kind of just kept me at ease and brought me peace of mind to just help me understand that, you know, this is God's will, this is His glory. If I go 0 for 4, 0 for 5, there's only so much that I can control. I don't know what the future holds, but I know who holds my future, kind of thing. And just to know that He's in the valley with me, and it's just something I didn't grow up with. But that, like my God and just the family and just a couple of friends that I have is enough support for me to just continue chasing this dream until I feel like God is calling me to do something else. But right now, like I told you, I feel like He's bringing me out. He's bringing me out of the valley right now. But not only Him, but the people that have surrounded me these last couple of years, and it really pushed me to keep going. So, glory to them, honestly.
Well, very well said, Tim, and about God's will and everything that you were doing. I agree completely, and I feel very, very, very strongly that this conversation we're having is going to be a you heard of this guy when kind of a deal, because you have everything it takes to be a breakout, to get that opportunity and to advance up the ladder. There's no question about that. And that's where I said I wanted to emphasize this is not a Rocky story. This is, I think, an inspirational story, but that is not to paint this as an overachiever story or anything like that. But a guy who constantly found ways to keep getting better and get to a point where he could be dominant in the Pecos League there. And again, it's a perfect example to all of us. All of us are works in progress. Every day we should be trying to get better. We should be trying to advance on what we've done before. And you're an example of that. You're a guy who's been able to do that, and in so doing, hopefully set yourself up for the opportunities to come This is a great story, Tim. We look forward to following it in the future. I look forward to catching up with you at a subsequent time here and hearing how this is going. Thank you very much for making time for us today. I know our listeners will find this to be a very worthwhile story.
Yeah, Rick, thank you so much for having me. I look forward to talking to you again soon.
I appreciate it, Tim. Thank you very much for being on. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in to FDH Lounge Mini episode number 1010.
As we bring the show to a close, we would like to extend our deepest gratitude to NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox, all Clear Channel affiliates, TNT, TBS, USA, UPN, Deadspin.com, YouTube.com, YTMND.com, MySpace.com, various blogs, Fox News, CNN, CNBC, MSNBC, IamBoard.com, Billboard.com, Google.com, ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN News, ESPN Classic, NBA TV, NFL Network, Sports Time Ohio, Athlon Magazine, Comedy Central, Cartoon Network, The Boomerang Channel, QVC, BET, The Spice Channel, Steno Notebooks, Manwich, Papermate Office Supplies, waitresses, strippers, bartenders, garbage men, janitors, microwave popcorn, the writers of The Office, Scrubs, Entourage, My Name is Earl, Oz, Metalocalypse and the Boondocks, Aquafina, and the Periodic Table of Elements.